I think Shakespeare would have loved this show because I think it respects the nature of a Shakespearean comedy. One of the most innovative aspects of the show is the fusion of the bilingual aspects, commedia-dell-arte, and the world of the animated cartoon. To a joyous mother of 2 sons. We decided very early on to do something that was different and a bit innovative, especially playing with the language.
Max Lady, I will break thy pate across!
Ah, così lui ha fatto il primo, voi fate il secondo, io invece faccio il martire.
And so for this reason, it was very interesting and exciting for us to be able to work in Italian and in English. With actors speaking both languages at the same time on stage.
And did she not shut the doors against me?
The actor has the ability to create new facets of their character, either by using a different language or a different dialect. And then to save anybody who doesn't speak all of these languages who's in the audience, of course we have the subtitles which allow us to fully explore all the different realms of language in the knowing that we don't have a problem with the audience being able to understand what we're saying. We can always change the subtitles to be in the language of the country that we're in, and therefore anybody in the audience can really follow the whole thing, but they still get to hear the musicality of the language, which is also what Shakespeare's all about anyway. We're happy to play with the idea of commedia-dell-arte. Commedia-dell-arte, which of course is a very Italian form of theater, and one that translates very well into the world of Shakespearean comedy. In Shakespeare, you can always find a pantalone, you can always find a arlecchino, going back to the servants, you can always find the lovers, and you can always find Colombina, and you can always find il dottore, and all of these very commedia characters you can find also in the Shakespearean comedy. And so there are 2 worlds that are very similar, and which we were happy to kind of play with the juxtaposition of those worlds.
My soul burns heaven.
Add to it, I've always felt that commedia-dell-arte also shares many of the same qualities and characteristics as the world of the animated cartoon. The music is inspired by Carl Stalling, who wrote so many of those early cartoon soundtracks and really made the genre what it is. You'll see that the sets are very colorful and really spring from that world of the animated cartoon. The sets are very simple, with just a simple backdrop, but the fact that we can open and close the panels gave us a multitude of various combinations that we could use in order to create the scene that we wanted to live in. And so we really used this idea in our set design, especially so that when you open one of the panels and you leave the other one closed, the new image that gets created is a full, complete image in and of itself, but one that maybe you wouldn't have thought would have been there just by looking at the original image. And the costumes as well were kind of brought together from a variety of different sources, but then used in a way that with the simple changing of a sash or the simple raising of a skirt, the entire character could change. Of course, you need the actor's ability to change their character as well, which is 90% of the work. I mean, the costume is really secondary to the work that the actor does in telling their part of the story. We also wanted to make it simple because we hope that this piece will have a life of its own beyond the performances that we did for New York University.
I gave it to you! Tell me or I'll break your pin!
In the end, the simplicity really works in our favor because it allows us, like the commedia troupes of old, to kind of pick up, go to a town, set up in a day and perform in the evening, and maybe even do a workshop on commedia-dell-arte the next day and then go on to the next place. The benefit of having such a simple show, technically speaking, is that it travels very well and it can be produced really in any kind of context, whether that's theatrical or outdoors in a park or a garden or a public square. The lights turn on in the beginning and they go out at the end, so there aren't any real technical constraints as far as the piece is concerned. I have to say we were really proud of the result of the show. The next day, the academic group, Theatre Without Borders, that had commissioned the show, asked us to participate in a roundtable discussion with them regarding many of the aspects of creating the play. And apart from the fact that the adjectives that they used to describe it were wonderful. I mean, they said things like brilliant and they wonderful, and they really seemed to enjoy our work. And for me, that really validated many of the directorial choices that were made in creating the piece. And so we were very proud to have such a learned group give us a thumbs up after having seen the play. I think Shakespeare would have loved this comedy. I think it really respects his approach to a wacky, wild, fun kind of comic style, of course drawing in from commedia-dell-arte.